Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at sys in Python. So as you can imagine, sys is short for system, and this is a module that really interacts with your specific system. So sys stands for System Specific Parameters and Functions, and it provides access to variables used or maintained by the interpreter and functions that interact strongly with the interpreter. And this is a module that's always available on every version of Python. So the first thing we're going to do is import sys, and obviously nothing happens. So now we're going to look at sys.argv. So you can see for this particular example, it's not actually run Python, it's run a kernel launcher so that I can run this notebook in VS Code. And you can see that it's storing files temporarily there, it's running on the local host, and these are all the things that were customized when it ran. And so this is kind of the predecessor of the argument pass module, which uses sys.argv quite heavily. We've also got a max size. This is a fairly useless variable to know, but it's nice to know that you can see what it is. And this is the maximum size of a variable that you can store. And looking at it, it looks like a very large power of 2 minus 1. We can also see the platform. So you can see I'm running Windows 32, but if someone is running a different platform, some stuff might not be compatible. So you can always check which platform things are running on. You can see the version, so this is the Python version. So you see I'm running 3.9.5 currently. It's got the date that it was compiled on, and some other data about the fact it's AMD 64. And this is exactly the same as if you go into the shell and type in Python -v. So if here I type in Python -v, it just displays the version. But if I add it twice, it gives us extra information, and you can see that that's the same as this. We can also see more version info. So you can see it's version 3.9.5, and this is a final release. I'm not currently testing Python releases that haven't been released to the public yet. We can also see the executable. So for me, Python is stored in this location, or at least this current version of Python is. And that's always useful to know. Because if you want to, for example, delete specific Python versions, you don't want to delete the one you're currently using, which would cause quite big problems. You can also see the copyright information. Unfortunately, it's not come out too well. But if I just type in Python here, and then type in copyright, you can see that it's come up with exactly the same information as if I do this. We can also see the path, and so the path contains all the location where my Python modules could be imported from. So for example, NumPy is stored in one of these. I think it's in the site packages. And so if I wanted to import NumPy, it would look in all of these and say, oh, it's in there, I'm going to use that. However, if we then set the path to nothing and try importing NumPy, it now says there's no module named NumPy because it cannot find it anymore. Another thing we can do is refer to the standard input output and standard error. Because this is a notebook, I can't use the standard input, but I can show you the standard output. So we can write out, and the standard error, and we can write error. And here it looks exactly the same, because most of the time the standard output and the standard error are the same. But what you can do, for example, is set all your error messages to go to a file, maybe for debugging, and all your output messages to go to another file, or just the output at the bottom. And then you can separate them using this. And I use this quite a lot when I want to time how long a program takes, because then the output doesn't get messed up with how long it's taken. You can also get the reference count, so you can see where this variable is stored, which is quite useful. And it shows you more how specific sys can get, rather than actually being of use now. But if you ever need to know, for example, what's happening with variables, sys is the module for that. And then finally, we can sys.exit, and you can see that an error has occurred because we've just run a system exit command. So you can see that sys is a very powerful module. It's very specific, so it gives you lots of information, and some of it is very useful and some of it less so. It's something good to know so you can have extra control over programs and you can find out information without inquiring the person who's using it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, you've learned this very powerful module, and I'll see you again, same time, next week. Till then.